Welcome to Story Time with Grammy Field. Today I have a different kind of story and it's called The Doll's Christmas. It's written by Tasha Tudor. It's a little bit lengthier and stuff like that. It's for ages like 5 to 8. So here we go. Once upon a time, there were two very old dolls who lived with two little girls in an old red house. The dolls' names were Stephanie Ann and Nicey Melinda. The girls' names were Laura and Effner. Stephanie Ann was French and very elegant. Nicey Melinda wasn't elegant, but she was full of character. She had the brightest eyes of blue glass and a nose quite worn down from generations of loving and scrubbing. The dolls were extremely fortunate, for they had a house all their own, which was named Pumpkin House. Stephanie and Nicey were not dollhouse dolls at all. They were large dolls, over a foot tall. What was so wonderful about Pumpkin House was that it was the right size for larger dolls. It took up the side of a room and even turned the corner. Effner had to stand on a chair to reach the second floor. Pumpkin House had a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a parlor, a dining room, a front hall, a conservatory with real pots of plants, and a live turtle named Ezekiel. The house had everything 2 dolls could need, from an iron stove in the kitchen to a complete set of china in the dining room cupboards. It even had electric lights and a handsome horsehair sofa. Every year at Christmas, Stephanie and Nicey had a dinner party and a Christmas tree of their own. And after dinner, they had a marionette show given especially in their honor, to which they invited all their friends. Laura and Effner sent out the invitation on doll-sized notepaper by Sparrow Post. This is what the invitation said. Miss Stephanie Ann and Miss Nicey Melinda request the pleasure of your company at a marionette show on Christmas Day at candlelight at the Red House. Of course, there had to be a great deal of preparation for such a party. 2 days before the party, Laura and Effner dressed Nicey and Stephanie in their warmest clothes and took them to the woods to get the dolls' Christmas tree. When they came home, they had tea to warm themselves and then decorated the tree with silver nutmeg and golden pears and bright balls of many colors. They made a paper chain and cornucopias and wound the tree round and round with tinsel. The day after gathering greens, the children's cousins arrived for the holidays. One of the cousins had a doll named Lucy, who was Stephanie's and Nicey's best friend. She had taken to the spare room of Pumpkin House, where she and Nicey and Stephanie spent a happy morning talking about many things. Dolls do talk, you know. How many of you have dolls? Did you know I have a bunch of dolls? I do. In the afternoon, the dolls put on their aprons and came to the kitchen to help with the party preparations. There were cookies to be cut with thimbles, small pies to be rolled, a pan of tiny biscuits, and a small mold of jelly to be made. The dolls felt quite tired with everything. When everything was finally finished and put away, they went to bed in expectation of tomorrow. The dolls awoke to find 3 stockings hanging on the mantelpiece. They were filled with tiny presents and topped off with doll-sized candy canes. After opening their stockings, the dolls spent the day quietly until 4. When they were washed, powdered, and dressed in their best clothes, Laura cut a bouquet of rose geraniums for Sethany to hold and pinned some in her hair, too. The dolls looked very beautiful. Lucy, Nicey, and Sethany came downstairs as the tall clock struck 3:30. Dinner was to be served in the parlor of the Red House because there wasn't room in Pumpkin House for all the guests. Just 3 dolls had been invited, as the dinner service was only for 6. Their names were Henrietta, Meg, and Trilby, and they were waiting in the hall. All the dolls went in to dinner. What a delightful sight met their eyes. On one side of the room stood the doll's tree, completely surrounded by presents. In the middle of the room was the breadboard, spread with the lacy cloth. There were 4 candles in silver candlesticks and a centerpiece of geraniums and parsley. Tiny place cards told them where to sit. The boys of the family played butler and served the dinner. There were 3 courses, beginning with soup and ending with ice cream and champagne in doll-sized bottle, only it was ginger ale. They all enjoyed themselves immensely. After dinner, the dolls sat about the tree and opened their presents. I couldn't possibly tell you all that they received, for that would take too long. By candlelight, all was in readiness for the marionette show. The family was dressed in old-fashioned clothes. The children and dolls sat waiting for their guests. The first to arrive was Tedward and Edward Bear. Effie Elephant, Trilby, and Mr. Kitty. Then came Lily, Oliver Twist, Meg, Henrietta, and several others. When everyone was assembled, the candles were blown out and the play Little Red Riding Hood began. Everyone had the best time, at least everyone but Trilby, who was sat upon for half the performance, and Mr. Kitty, who fell to the floor in a fright at the sight of the wicked wolf. When the play was over, they ate cookies, and the children sang carols around the big Christmas tree. Then the guests went home, all but Effie, who was forgotten. He spent the night under the table and had an interesting discussion with some mice about cake crumbs compared to peanuts. In Pumpkin House, the dolls went to bed. I think, said Nicely, that Christmas is the most magic time of the year, not just for the pretty things you get, but for the feeling inside of what a good place the world is to live in. I should know, for I have seen 110 Christmases. That's a lot of Christmases. And do you know why she saw so many Christmases? It's because it was a doll that was passed down through generation. How many of you have dolls? Do you ever play with your friends? I know when I was a little girl, I went to my friend's house and we played dolls. So this story brings back those memories. And I know raising my little girls, they played with their friends with their dolls. I hope you enjoyed this story, and thank you for joining me for story time.